Welcome to Antalis Coala Interior Film Webinar 2. In this webinar, we want to talk about the green attributes of the range. The Coala Interior range is a highly creative range of refurbishment vinyls. More than 450 references in 9 stunning categories. The Coala Interior range is highly durable, textured, multi-layer plastic construction, and it brings sustainable benefits by refurbishing furniture and refreshing environments, reusing the existing and cutting down on wastage to landfill. What you'll see in this webinar are examples of refurbishment. The seamless application of Coala Interior vinyl by wrapping it onto different types of surfaces and furniture, giving new life to old, minimizing the need for replacements with a minimum of disruption and a huge cost benefit. My colleagues, Michael and Andrea, who have huge experience in this field, will give you examples. So let me hand you over to the specialists in their dedicated training facility in Luxembourg. Over to you, Michael.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Coala Interior Film webinar. I'm Michael, and I'm representing Antalis and Coala Interior Film. Mike introduced it quite well. We're going to speak for 60 minutes about this marvelous product. We're going to speak about the marketing. We're going to speak about what Antalis is offering you. We're going to see some technical tips and tricks. Andrea is going to assist me here. We're going to speak about tools and liquids, what to use, where to use. We're going to speak about a lot of different case studies and experience we've gathered for the past years with this product. We're going to do a wall installation. We're going to do a door installation. We're going to do different corners, a shaped corners and a 90 degrees angle corner. You can ask all your questions in the Q&A chat box. Someone is behind the screen is going to be able to assist you during the event. It should be about 60 minutes. Mike will wrap up at the end the session. So let's introduce straight away what Antalis is proposing you. So we have basically a swatch book and we have a binder. In this swatch book, you have 200 different references that Antalis is proposing you as available straight away. We have 9 different categories, so it's imitation of wood, solid color, you can have marble, glitter, leather, fabric, and so on and so forth. There's a new one called the Soft Touch, which is honestly one of the best vinyl that exists. It's a silicone coated on the top that gives you some abrasion performance. So this swatch book, do not hesitate to ask your sales rep at Antalis. They have those ones available for you. And then you have this great binder where basically inside you will see more than 450 different references. Some of them are available straight away, the one you can have in the premium swatch, and the rest is going to be available between 1 and 4 weeks. Inside this binder, you will have always or a red clock stating that it's available between 1 and 4 weeks, or the green one available straight away. What is really important with Antalis is the fact that they propose you a free sampling service. So basically, as you can see here, whenever you need a bigger size sample, you can ask them and they will send it straight to you for your attention. Like I said, the whole range is available. It's a fantastic, great product made of vinyl. Yes, so we are really glad to spend some time with you today. Let's watch a little video and then we'll switch straight into tools.
Welcome to the Coala Interior Film journey. It is us to give something back. As why replace when you can upgrade? Inspired by nature. Interior design, and so much more. It is us to make a change, starting from production. Quality control. Certification. Including a sampling service. building a professional network with in-house trainings. with an elite, creating a circle of knowledge and experience. And this worldwide. Making the impossible possible. With the help of our marketing, creating a plug-and-play concept. Want to give new life to your spaces? Come and discover Coala Interior Film.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Andrea. So it's really one of the best installer I know in Europe. So please do not hesitate to challenge him inside the Q&A box. Someone behind the screen will definitely tell us all your questions. So you can have the best product in the world, but if you don't have the right installation and the right installation tools, it's not going to work. So here, Andrea is going to explain us a little bit the tips and tricks. There's many different things here, but as a reminder, this is just a webinar. If you'd like to assist to an official and physical training, you can contact your sales rep at Antalis. We provide right at the moment training session here in Luxembourg, but in the long run, Antalis UK will propose on-site training in United Kingdom. Andrea?
Hello guys, I will explain you before the cleaning product, so I will go step by step. We start, for example, with the soft surface cleaner. This is the recommended liquid to clean all kind of surface. It's an isopropylic based alcohol, and in case you need to, for example, remove some silicone or some wax, because as you should know, the silicone is the best enemy of the glue. You can use some product like that to remove the silicone before. You should use also a scraper, and after you can pass the surface cleaner and go to the other step.
Even though the adhesive on Coala Interior Film product is solvent based, if you try to stick it straight onto silicone, it will not stick. So it's really important to use the right chemicals.
The step after is the primer. So we have two different kind of primer. One is the solvent base, we have the little bottle, but also the bigger one. And the other one is the water-based primer. Which is the difference between them? The solvent base you use just on not absorbent surface and normally on the perimeter of the surface or each layer.
So a non-absorbing surface will be like a laminated wood,
yeah.
Aluminium,
yeah.
plastic, all those kind of
glass,
things.
For example, also plastic. So I normally give this idea, think to let fall some liquid on the surface. If the liquid go inside, is absorbent. If will not go inside, is not absorbent. This is just on the perimeter. Normally 1 centimeter is enough. And you can also remove it from the surface. So in case in 5 years the client decide to remove the vinyl, you can also remove the primer using the surface cleaner. It's easy to see when it's dry because you just need to touch it with the finger. Normally in 15-20 minutes it will dry. If the fingers stick, you need to wait. In other case, you can proceed. For the water-based primer, you use on absorbent surface and you use on the entire surface. Normally a roller is recommended and sometimes 2 layers are required. For example, on plaster wall, you need two layers. So
I've seen, my personal experience is that I've seen some of the MDF, for example, where you brush the primer water-based onto it, and then you see basically the color changing from white to transparent, like in a clap of a hand. So basically, in that case, you will need to reinstall a second layer of primer. That's how basically you can define whether it's too absorbing or less absorbing. So those primers are really important. So understand the hard bottle is for the hard surface and the flexible for the absorbing surface.
And also keep in mind that the application with water primer, we say that normally is 1 shot. So whenever you leave a wrinkle or something, be careful because you cannot open again the material and remove some wrinkles. So the application is 1 shot. Tools for the application of the vinyl, we have different squeegee. For example, I will show you the difference. Here we have a squeegee with a straight corner. So whenever you need to work, for example, in the corner of the furniture, you can push well the material in the corner. So something that with the bigger squeegee, you cannot do it. We normally use this with the felt white pad for the application, and we use this for the finishing. Plus, you have some other squeegee, but also roller. So, for example, in case of glitter application, I suggested to use this kind of roller or this that it's more comfortable for your hand. So it's your decision.
I think this one works really good. I've seen Antalis doing a lot of promotion for glitter film. So definitely, and this product can be installed in all the retail environments. But if you were to install glitter Coala Interior Film product with a felt like this, or at least the squeegee like that, trust me, you're going to damage it quite fast. So using a roller like this will definitely help you out.
We receive also some feedback from UK that is nice to use also the Teflon squeegee with the glitter. I tested and honestly it works good. So you can see it by yourself and take the, I mean, it's your feeling. So you can decide by yourself which is the correct one for you. About the cut on the blade, I will not go too much deeper, but I can tell you that we have different kind of cutter with different kind of blade. For example, the cutter is for left and right hand, so this is also a good point. Plus we have a different kind of blade. So we have the normal blade that all the people call 45, but they are not 45, they are 58. So this is important to know. Plus we have the sharpest one, that are the 30 degrees. The 30 degrees are more sharpest. I just tell you to be careful if you use this one in case you cut an overlap, because you can have the risk to cut both layers.
So it's a lot of different tools.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, what is the most important is the squeegee, the cutter. Yeah. But the cut is really, really important. You're going to see it during the workshops. If you do a wrong cut, obviously someone could peel off the film. And as an installer, you don't really want to have come back on site afterwards because the film is peeling off.
Yeah. For example, for the corner, in case you want to melt the corner and avoid the fact that someone can peel off easily the material, you can use the edge seal. This is a tool that you need to switch on, push it for 10 seconds, and it will melt with this metal plate the vinyl. So
this is really, really good tool, and you're gonna show it again, I suppose, when we're gonna do the 90 degrees angle cut. So you're gonna see it at the end of the webinar as well.
I will explain you also something else quickly. We have also the sandpaper with a sponge. So in case you have a fragile surface, after we show on the plywood table, the cut is not so easy because the surface is fragile. So I suggest you to cut straight and use the sandpaper with a grain of 180, 120 to brush the vinyl and the corner together. We have also some tools for the heat gun. So for example, here we have a heat gun. We have also the one with an 8-meter cable that it's really nice.
I think it makes a lot of sense. So we spoke about Coala Interior Film being a solution for flat surfaces, but basically you would use a heat gun or a hair dryer to a certain temperature in order to to warm up the product so it becomes flexible. Once it's flexible, you can basically allow the material to take any shapes you want. So imagine, for example, a table or something, and we're going to see it at the end of the webinar. You're going to stretch the product in order for it to take the shape of the surface.
Another nice tools for the heat gun is the cage. This is really important because sometimes if you are an installer, you know that can happen that the heat gun fall down on the ground. So this will keep the carpet of the client safe from
and also your hands
and also the skin and your hands. So it's quite a nice tools to add to your heat gun.
And I think the last one we have is the release liner cutter.
Yeah, this one you can use it on different ways. So you can use it for the liner cutter that I have also here. So there are two different types. One is the classic one that you can just cut the liner. And this one, it's really nice because you can cut the liner, you have different position, but you can also cut the overlap. So whenever, for example, you do a furniture, you need to leave some millimeter on the close surface to do the overlap. This will cut exactly straight, leaving some millimeters. So it's really nice.
I don't use much the release cutter tool, but I think it's really, really important because you're going to see typically it's going to start a wall installation by removing a bit of release liner. It's going to allow you to position the film right when you do your installation, and starting the job right is key for this kind of product.
Yeah.
Are we good in terms of the tools? Let's jump straight into a wall installation. We don't have a video right now. I think it's afterwards.
No,
we don't have a video right now. Perfect.
So here we go.
So wall installation makes a lot of sense. And let's face it, it's a lot of square meter all in one go. If you were to do just small tables, obviously you're not selling that many linear meters of Coala Interior Film. So typically doing wall is mandatory. You need to be able to do wall installation. Why would you do wall with this product rather than just painting? We're going to go through many advantages while Andrea is going to install the product.
So here we have the black mat. That is also one of the most sales. And as you can see, I already cut stripes with the liner cut. So
we spoke about the release liner indeed.
Yeah, normally I leave 10 centimeter and I cut a stripes of 5. This, like Michael told you, will give you help to position the material in the correct way.
So this black mat is indeed one of the best sales from Coala Interior Film. So typically the white, the black, the gray are definitely a commodity product for this material. You could imagine, installing it for kitchen or whatsoever, or even doors. It makes a lot of sense. Now, why would you use a solid color rather than painting? Well, there's multiple advantages. First of all, the product is quite thick. The product is self-adhesive. And you will see typically here, the installation is really fast. So don't get us wrong. Here, Andrea has many, many years of experience. It's not that easy, but he knows the tips and tricks. And definitely, once again, if you want to learn how to do this kind of installation, please register to a training session or in Luxembourg or in the future directly in the premise of Antalis. So
guys, as you can see, I just applied the stripes that was here. This will give you help to don't have tension on the material. If you have tension, you lose a lot of time. So it's really important that when you remove the liner, the material is completely flat. If you have waves, this means that you have tension, and trust me, you will lose a lot of time for the application.
Absolutely, tension is a killer.
In this. And the application is always centered to the edge, and the best ways is to find the synchronous between the two hands. So 10 centimeter down with the liner, center to the edge with the squeegee. Something
Andrea didn't mention, but I think it makes a lot of sense. The reason why he cut a piece of the release liner is also to position the material at the top and make sure that the product is aligned to the surface you want to cover. Just imagine
also that the pattern is straight, because in this case we don't have the pattern, but if you have, for example, this one, you should check that is completely straight.
It happened to me many times where basically I started at the top, arrived at the bottom, and noticed that I was missing 5 centimeters. Trust me, you don't want to do that. The product is not expensive, but it's not cheap neither. So you want to avoid the maximum of wastage.
For example, in case of a wall, always remember that the walls are never normally straight, except if are perimeter walls. So always keep in mind that if you start on the side of the wall, probably the pattern will be not straight. So this is important to check before to start. Here we have a power outlet with 2 metal teeth that give a bit of tension. So I will do a release cut around the 2 metal teeth. And I will remove a bit more of the liner. And now put out the material from the power outlet. So here we'll go on the right. And here you just need to put a bit of tension.
You can see here, Andrea, you can show the tension on the product. You see it clearly. So typically, if you were to have tension like this on the whole length, trust me, you will have issue at the bottom.
Yeah, so this is tension that now, if you see, I always apply like that, but this you can just do it if you don't have tension. In this case, I have tension, so the application will be round like that. And normally in 20 centimeter, if you apply in the correct way, you will remove this tension and you can apply again straight.
How many square meter a good installer can have a day on a wall installation, Andrea? What do you reckon?
I will say between 100 and 180 square meter. This depends if you do just paneling, if you do the overlap, depends. But normally this is the average.
So you are able to do between 2 and 3 rolls of film. Yeah. So as a reminder, Coala Interior Film is available in 48 inches wide, and the rolls full length are about 50 meters. Product like the glitter are about 30-meter length. So typically being able to do between 2 and 3 rolls of film, that's quite great. The return on investment is quite important. So definitely pushing the wall installation make a lot of sense.
Whenever you arrive to the lower part, always keep in mind that it's common that the people, when they apply the vinyl, will leave bubbles. So my advice to don't leave bubble is remove more liner, keep it distance, keep the material distance from the surface, and continue to apply. Always linear. So in this case, there will be not bubble.
So if we have parents that are following us now, I have young kids. Trust me, the advantage of Coala Interior Film compared to painting is definitely present when you have kids. Your kids obviously damage your walls on the day-to-day. With this product, trust me, it's a lot more difficult to do it.
So about the cut, I will show you before a straight cut, that is the classic cut. But the problem is that whenever you do a paneling, if you do a straight cut, the people have chance to remove the vinyl. So in this case, the cut must be done in 45 degrees angle. So the blade stay a bit more inclined inside. And as you can see, now I will show you the difference. This 2 millimeter can save your work. I mean, if you leave this 2 millimeter on top, the client will start to remove the vinyl. So it's really important that you learn the cut 45 because it's really common that you need to cut 45.
So definitely preparation is really important. The right cut is really important. We didn't speak about the surface. So typically this product can be installed on most of the surface, but let's face it, being able to install between 2 and 3 rolls of Coala Interior Film every day, you need the surface to be pleasing. So typically having painted wall is more difficult because you have only one opportunity to make it right. Laminated wood like the paneling you have there is a lot easier because you could reposition the product afterwards, but it's not always the same. Could you install straight away on wallpaper, Andrea?
You can install directly. You just need to check that if it's wallpaper, I mean paper, or if it's like tissue, so like fabric, because in case it's fabric, you need to check the adhesion. And the most important thing with the wallpaper is to check that there are no bubbles on the surface, because if there is a bubble on the wallpaper, the vinyl will just highlight the bubble that you have. So you need, it's possible, but you need to check some point.
And I assume that if you have a structured wallpaper, obviously you will not use Coala Interior Film solid color because everything will be seen. So obviously sometimes you have to try to choose the right pattern.
So about the cut on this side, I suggest you, whenever you have a big surface to cut, first of all, leave some millimeter on top, not cut it, because in other case, the stripes will fall down during the cut and the cut will be not straight. And second point is, whenever you go down from the stair, never remove the cutter from the surface, because in other case, you change the angle of the cut and will be visible. So
it makes a lot of sense. It's a really, really good trick. I didn't know it before, but it makes so much sense. You would always be disturbed by the piece of film falling, and therefore your cut is not going to be optimal. Here, it's absolutely perfect.
My motto is normally think before to apply, and you will normally solve.
We spoke about the soft touch range just before. So typically here you have a matte black material. This product exists also in a soft touch version. So the advantage of the soft touch is really against the abrasion, but also you have this nice silk touch whenever you install the product. So trust me, it makes a lot of sense as well to consider both options.
Cut around the metal plate. So normally keep in mind that the cover of the metal plate is bigger. So 1 centimeter normally is covered around the plate. So if the cut is a bit shorter, will be not visible. But normally I have these tricks. Whenever you cut on top, you put a bit of pressure down. Whenever you cut on the right, you put a bit of pressure on the left. Like this, if the cutter will go away, will go inside the metal plate and not outside. So you will be always safe.
So here, obviously, it's better to cut too much than too less. No, too less than too much, sorry. Too less than too much. Don't forget as well to cut your blade on a regular basis. If you have a used blade, the cut is not going to be that great. So often change your blade.
About the lower cut, I will tell you now that must be done always 45. I will show you why on the door, because it's really, really important.
So we spoke about the advantages of this material compared to painting or wallpaper. So typically look at what Andrea left on the floor. There's pretty much nothing. The installation is pretty much finished. Imagine being in a hotel, for example. You could paint in the morning a room and not being able to rent it in the afternoon. But using Coala Interior Film on a door or on the wall in the morning, you can still rent it afterwards.
Yeah, I think about the paneling is everything. If you have some questions, just write it in the webinar.
We have a next video now, and we see afterwards for door installation. Okay, guys, a little wrap up. So we spoke about the marketing available. We spoke about the tools to use. We've started with a wall installation with a plug, how to do the cuts, what right tool to use and things like that. Now we're going to switch towards a door. It makes a lot of sense to be able to do doors. Just imagine hotels. The number of doors you have in a hotel is countless. So it's really important whenever you come to a training here in Luxembourg or locally in the future at Antalis premises, you will need to be able to do doors. Andrea is going to show you here a door installation with a part of the frame. You don't always have to do the frame. Nevertheless, here is going to show you just so you understand how it works. Andrea, the floor is yours.
I think I will do a quick application like this. You can see how much it's fast, because normally the application of the door, it's pretty the same of what we showed before. So we can explain maybe something about the product itself in the meantime.
So typically here, again, the same as the wall installation, Andrea did cut a piece of the wrist in order to get it straight. He controlled at the bottom that the material is definitely well aligned to the door. It will be once again a shame to arrive at the bottom having a perfect installation and noticing that the product is not straight.
Door application, normally we just the front and the back, but there are also other solutions. So you can also think to do just the locker side with the front and back, or you can also to do the door complete. Another way is also to just do the front and the back with the lid and paint the side with the paint.
So painting the side makes a lot of sense, because it will also seal the edge of the material. Why seal the edge of the material? We are all in this industry of the vinyl, and typically when you know it's a film installed somewhere, you intend always to try to remove it. So obviously it makes a lot of sense to seal. It's much faster as well when you are going to seal the edge rather than just installing the material. So here you see a concrete effect. It's also one of the best sales from Coala Interior Film. And look, that was a boring white door. Look all of a sudden what it looks like. So the cut is quite fast. Andrea, how many doors like this a good installer can do on a daily basis?
I will say between 25 and 30 easily without too much problem.
A two-side door. Two-side door.
So you can also with the side locker if you want. So it's quite fast.
So it's something you can do. Everyone can do that when they follow a training from Coala Interior Film,
I would say yes. If you do a bit of practice after the training, absolutely yes.
How much would you charge for a door like this, Andrea?
I would say between 250, 350 euro.
And I assume the reason why you would charge less or more depends about the preparation required for the door. And you have some doors from time to time that requires a lot of preparation. I assume that the number, obviously, of doors makes a lot of sense.
And for example, one another step is to check if it's an anti-fire door, because normally anti-fire door is quite expensive. They go more than 1,500 euros. So in case of anti-fire door, you can just stay a bit more higher with the price, because the comparison with other solution is completely different.
And sometimes it makes so much sense. Just imagine if you can change to old and brand new in one day 25 doors. Imagine if a hotel would need to change 25 doors. It means that they have 25 rooms that they cannot rent. So it makes a lot of sense. So whether they spend a bit more money or not, with this solution, it makes a lot of sense. Also, one of the things that will change the price is what material are you going to use? Are you going to take Coala Interior Film stone, wood, solid color, glitter? Why not? Fabric? The price will change accordingly.
And about painting the side, we have a new technical bulletin where you can find inside also the RAL color of the all finishing that we have. So in case you need to match the paint with the product, you can easily check the bulletin and know which is the correct.
Because like we mentioned before, you could do the frame with a paint because it's much faster and it will seal the edge of the material as well. But indeed, sometimes you might use a paint, and it's important to know what right RAL color goes along with this material. As a reminder, Coala Interior Film is more than 450 different references. So indeed, you might need some help when it comes to painting.
So due to the fact that the door is a bit more inside than the frames, because we removed the gasket, I did a cut on the frame side. I push in a better way the material on the door, and after I do the cut 5. It's always a safe solution in case the door it's more inside than the frame.
So as a reminder, it looks really, really easy, but Andrea has been installing thousands of doors. We still recommend you guys, if you have an interest with this material, of course, to come over and follow a physical training here in Luxembourg or in the future in England.
So about the lower part, I told you before that I would like to explain you something. Always keep in mind that the cut on the lower side must be done 45 or more, because the problem is that if you leave just 1 millimeter longer than the door, if you have a carpet that is a bit thicker, 20 times that the client open and close the door, and you will find the material detached from the lower part. So always keep in mind to cut 45 and to check that you cannot remove the vinyl.
That's really important. I agree.
You have the risk to come back on site to just fix this kind of.
Something we didn't speak neither is sometimes in a hotel room, for example, inside you might want to have a concrete color, but on the outside, typically you would want a wood type or a solid color type. So with Coala Interior Film, this is possible. But if you were to buy a door with 2 different colors, trust me, the cost is going to be quite important as well.
About the cut on the handle and on the locker part, I suggest to don't lose too much time, because it will be covered by a big plate. So don't lose too much time to do a meticulous cut, because nobody will see it when you will install the handle.
What about doors with frame, Andrea?
Door with frames, I suggested to do some tests, because it's normally possible to do it, but you just need to count in the correct way the time, because it's really important that you release a correct offer for the application. Sometimes if you have too much frames on top, you can also think to apply a flat plate on top and cover just the flat plate.
So the flat plate would be what, the Dibond or
normally
MDF?
Can be MDF, can be Dibond, depends also by the environment and which certification you need to keep on the door. Because for example, if it's an anti-fire door, normally are flat, and you can apply, you need to apply, I mean, you do not apply any kind of plate, but in case of frames door, you need to check if it's anti-fire. You should use a Dibond. If it's not anti-fire, you can use something else.
Let's do a little game, Andrea. Let's put a binder to win. So typically, guys, you have a chat there, and I don't see a lot of people asking questions. So I have the feeling that everything is loud and clear. Typically, this is a laminated wood. What kind of primer would you use there? A primer plus, or would you use a normal primer? Water-based or solvent-based? You can answer in the chat, and the first one to answer is going to win one of the Coala Interior Film binder. That includes more than 450 references inside.
So now, sorry, but there was inside the box. So now I will show you the frames, and the frames I will do it with wood, so another reference. And I will show you some tips and tricks for the frames. So
we have an answer which is normal. Does it mean primer or primer plus?
Or solvent base or water based.
Or solvent based or water based, exactly.
About the frames, always keep in mind that, for example, the side of the frames can go out from the waist of the door. So this is an important point, because sometimes you can win more money. So normally the door are 95, something like that. So you have the chance to keep out at least one side of the frames. So it's a good point to take more profit on the work. And normally you always need to separate the top from the side. And normally you do always before the top and after the side, because like this, the joint here will look up, so it's less visible for your eyes. Just keep in mind that if you apply white, I suggest you to do the opposite. So before the side and after the top, because like this, the joint here will look down, and there is no possibility that some dust will stay here, that on the white will create a black joint. So it's important to know also this kind of tip.
So usually the material is basically 48 inches wide. Doors are always, or at least most of them, smaller than that width. So typically do not throw away wastage. Use them for those kind of installation. Use them for sampling service. Use them for many other things, but do not throw them. It would be a shame.
Also, one important thing is to check if the top the client wants to do horizontal or vertical, because normally if it's in wood, it's horizontal and this is vertical, but we always suggest to leave the decision to the customer. Like this, you're always safe about what you're doing and you don't have the risk to redo something after.
And most of the range, if I'm not wrong, Andrea, the wood grain is towards the length rather than the width.
We have just maybe 1 or 2 reference with the length.
Anybody else wants to play to the game? So again, is it water-based or solvent-based onto laminated wood?
Here the cut is 45 because you need to have some millimeter more here for the overlap. So you cut 45 and after you use a technique that we call free step. So you push 3 times on the corner. The first one is on the top, the second one is in the center, and the third one is after the corner. Why? Because this material is quite rigid. So if you leave a channel of air in the middle of the corner, you will probably not able to remove it after. So this is a good tips to don't leave channel of
Finally, we have a winner. Richard Porter, you won a Coala Interior Film binder. It was indeed solvent-based. Now it's a hard surface, so you use solvent-based primer.
So probably will be not visible by the camera, but cutting 45 on the side, you exactly have some millimeter that will go on this. So this will give you help to avoid to cut at the end on the corner, because this is too risky. On top, normally nobody will see the top of the frames, so you can just cut 45, or in case if the client will require, you can also cover the top. Here, normally you need to leave an overlap. We always recommend to leave the overlap, so the cut will be not exactly from one corner to the other, but will be some millimeter more for the overlap. So in case of overlap, always remember that the first layer will give you some millimeter more for the overlap, and the last layer will give you the finishing, so will be exactly straight.
One of the great advantage also with this product, and it's the design freedom. What you have basically, typically here, Andrea is covering the door panel with a concrete color, but he's deciding to do the frame with a wood color. So typically those are the kind of things you can decide to do with this product. It's more difficult to do if you decide to buy brand new.
So like I told you, we cut it straight now, and as you can see, I'm using the free step technique. I've got inside, and whenever I use the squeegee to put the material in the corner, you will see that you have a perfect overlap without cutting in the corner, because the problem is that if I cut something now, I will probably cut both layers, and due to the fact that the door is white, you will see the white. So always use this technique to do a quick job without too many problems.
I think you are going slow motion here, Andrea. You've taught me a lot quicker in the past.
So here on the side, you just need to cut between the wall and the frame. Now the cut is from one corner to the other to have the finish. So just place the squeegee from one corner.
So as you see, once again, the right tool is really important for this product. Andrea is using his squeegee to make the final touch, and yeah, having
always
the right
be
one.
Careful about the cut here, because many people leave some millimeter and you can detach the vinyl. So always keep in mind to check that is 45. I think about the door and the frame we explain.
So look at this once again. We used to have a wide boring door, and you see it on the left side. You have nothing on the floor. The door is ready. It's kind of a unique door made of concrete, but it could be like leather, it could be made of fabric, it could be made a lot of different categories. You cannot buy this except if you use Coala Interior Film. So it makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much, Andrea. So we are going to see another video, and then afterwards we're going to speak about corners, 90 degrees corner and round corner with the help of a heat gun. See you later. Okay, guys, welcome back. So we've done a wall installation, door installation with a frame. We start now with corners. Why would you use corners? So typically, Andre is going to teach you how to do a 90 degrees corner and also a round corner. So you're going to use the heat gun, you're going to use your cutter, your squeegee, etc., etc. But typically, this is just tips and tricks in order to be able to do also furniture in the long run. Andre is going to do this a lot better than me. A little game one more time. Which primer are you going to use in this table installation? So this is MDF. So are you going to use the flexible bottle, which is the absorbent primer, or the hard one, which is for which is a solvent-based primer? So the first one will win another binder.
So I will just take a sample to show you the corner. Normally you need to apply on the entire top. And this is normally the best technique that we check for the moment to do the corner. So the first step is to push a bit on the top of the corner to highlight the head of the corner, because the cut must be start after the head. In other case, after you will have a noise in the middle of the corner.
We have again a winner.
So
Richard. Sorry, Andrea.
So now I can also explain that in case of an absorbent surface like that, you cannot stretch the vinyl because the application is one shot. So the corner must be cut. If it was an hard surface, you can also think to stretch it, but not in this case. So push on the corner, highlight the head, and start to cut from the head of the corner 45. So you split the two sides like that. In this case, it's not important to think which side you close before, but in case, for example, you are doing a kitchen, it's really important to think on which side do the overlap, because you have different level of door and the overlap will be visible or not visible, depends on which side you do. Now I will use the 3-step technique that I showed you before. So push well on the corner.
Marking the angle is really, really important in order to avoid those bubbles and air.
So I fold this on the other side, and normally I cut 3 mm after the corner. Like I told you at the beginning, this is a fragile surface. So if you have a bit of experience, you can cut 45. In other case, I suggest you to cut straight and use the sandpaper.
That's a good call. Yeah, that's a good call. Otherwise, you're just going to damage the surface, right?
Yeah. And now, after leaving this 3 mm, you fold once again the other side.
So using a structured Coala Interior Film in this situation makes a lot of sense. Like this, you are not going to see any extra layer below. If you use a flat wood, then you will definitely see it.
So now what I do is that I close also this on the side, but just to highlight the hand of the corner, but the cut must be done on the same side. This is really important because most of the people, they cut after the corner, but this 3 mm will be not enough to keep the material stick, because this material, it's normally more than 200 microns. So this 3 mm, it will never stay there. So always cut the last layer before the end of the corner. I normally use my finger like a guide, like that the cut will be straight. Now I will cut 45 also here. And I will show you the tools that we mentioned before. So here we have the edge seal of SOT. You just need to place it on, keep it, push it for 10 seconds. It will begin warm. And
so you are basically melting the vinyl in order to seal it.
The only thing that you need to be careful is to just place it flat on the surface, because if you stretch a bit on left or right side, you will stretch the vinyl. So you will create some problems. So just place it straight, and you will see that you will completely melt the corner. So this is also nice. For example, if you apply a black marble, the black marble have the yellow back, so the joint will be visible. If you, will be visible a little white line. If you use these tools, you can easily remove the white line, so the finishing will be 100% perfect.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much. Which technique do you prefer? Do you prefer the stretch or the cut?
Normally the cut, for different reasons, because you keep the pattern straight, and in case you work, for example, for architect, they don't accept the wood stretched. But also for an easy, I call easy life, because if you have a 50 table to do and you have a 4 corner, means that you have a 200 corner to close, and you can be the pro the best pro around the world, but I can say that on 200 corner you do a mistake. So
of course,
you need to redo something.
And by stretching the material with a heat gun, obviously you can create tension. So depending how wide or how big is the table, cutting indeed might be the easiest solution. Just imagine also about upcycling. If you were to get rid of 50 tables, replacing brand new all the cartons, etc., etc. So this solution is also good for the environment at the end of the day.
So here there is a round table. In this case, you cannot cut because in other case it will be not super nice. So
we didn't speak about the adhesive here because I see you take a big piece like this. So the adhesive is bubble free. So typically, if you have a bubble in the middle, you can still chase the air out.
It's just the PET, the glitter version that is not bubble free. So always try to give a look to the technical bulletin to know all the spec about the product. Now I remove a bit of extra material because it's important to have 10 or 5-10 centimeter more than what you apply, but not too much because in other case will create you some problem. So in this case, I suggest you to use the heat gun at 250 degrees. If you want to change the temperature, stay higher, you can do it. Just keep in mind to stay more distance from the surface. So switch on the heat gun, 250 degrees. And once you warm the material will begin flat. When it's flat, it's the good temperature to work. And keep in mind to don't stretch, just keep it intense and fold it. Because more tension you give, more problem you will have around the cut. So
look how easy it looks. So indeed, I agree that stretching way is cleaner. In order to have a second skin to your surface, it makes a lot of sense. But indeed, you need a bit more practice.
Normally, we apply the primer just on the lower part, on the back part and 1 centimeter. But if the table starts to begin a bit too much thicker, so I will say more than 2 centimeters, you can think to apply the primer also on the side. If you have a wrinkle or if you have something, you can easily open the material, warm it again, it will begin again flat. And you just need to fold it once again.
I like when you do that, Andrea. Can you repeat it once again? Try to mess up a bit the material. You see here? So you shouldn't stress yourself. You see that? Voila.
And I will just warm it once again.
So the material looks damaged, but at the end you just warm it up and it takes the original shape.
You can do this many times. Just be careful that more times you do, more the glue will be affected. So that's normal. Just warm it once again. Open it.
So imagine for restaurants, and it makes a lot of sense. The product is also 100% printable, UV printable at least. So yeah, for restaurant, it makes a lot of sense to have a customized kind of table.
You can also print the menu, for example, of the restaurant on top of the table.
Absolutely.
So once the side is closed, I normally remove a bit of excess.
So again, a Coala Interior Film is a solution that basically you install in-house. It looks a bit like the car wrapping, but it's definitely two different worlds. Here you are working internal, so it's a clean work, and it's something which is brand new in Europe. So I think you jump on the train at the right time.
Warm it once again, close just a bit the corner, and now you can fold the material on the back. Be careful that more stretch you give now, more tension you will have around the cut. So this is something that will fight against you if you stretch it too much. So warm it, just keep it intense, and fold it on the back. It's also important to don't push straight, but always apply from center to the side, because in other case you just stretch it. So
the first time I see you using the protection there.
Yeah.
Are you afraid to burn yourself, Andrea?
No, it's to show the right tool.
Good. So again, guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. We approach to the end of this webinar. We're going to wrap up at the end with Mike. But if you have any questions in the meantime, please write us through the Q&A chat box. And I think Audran behind the screen will write down in the chat box who won those 2 binders, so that Mike afterwards can pass this information to Antalis sales rep, so that the winner can get their binder and start selling this beautiful product.
So now that you fold the material on the back, at least 5 millimeters, you can have 2 solutions for the cut. The first one, you turn the table, is the most easy way. The second one, I will show you a cut that is more quick, but a bit more difficult. So I push all the excess of the material on the back to stick it on the table. And I use my finger like a guide. I will show you here. So I'm using the finger like a guide. And the cut will be always straight because the finger will run on the edge. So I just place the blade on the back. This will be my guide, and this will be the rail. So I will just do like that. And I push the excess on the back, because if you touch it with your hand, the cut will be not straight. So
this will give you an accurate cut below the table.
Yeah.
Don't forget again to cut your blades, and it's really important.
So I think we'll be rolling the camera.
Yeah, it looks perfect.
And as you can see, the cut is quite perfect without turning the table.
Obviously, Andrea has a lot of experience, but please, guys, this is just an introduction to this product. If you have a minimum of interest, I definitely advise you to get in contact with your sales rep at Antalis in order to follow a physical training, which is usually 2 days where you learn all the tips and tricks. So we're going to sit down with Andrea now. And if you have any questions, we are here to help you out before giving the wrap up to Mike.
Okay, so I have a question from Richard. He is asking for in which width the material is available in. So normally 122, if I'm not mistaken.
1 meter 22, 48 inches wide.
Yep. Then I have another question from David Rogers. So he's asking, can the film be applied on existing wall vinyl, or does the old one need to be removed first? You can apply over, just like I told you for the wallpaper, just keep, just check that the first application was done correctly, because in other case you just highlight the defect of the first one.
I think what is really important is the fact that Coala Interior Film material is quite thick, so it's quite heavy. So obviously, if you were to install it straight onto a material which doesn't have a really tacky glue, obviously you could remove the whole thing. So you need to be careful and to make maybe some tests possibly after before.
And the last question is from Simon. He was late for the webinar, so he's asking if we were recording the session, and yes, we did.
Absolutely, absolutely. Antalis will send you afterwards the link so that you can review the whole thing.
Yeah, and no more questions. So it's over.
All right, so I suggest we give the speech now to Mike so that he can wrap up the whole thing.
Thank you, Michael and Andrea, for demonstrating the use of Coala Interior Films in some common applications. So to recap the benefits, it has strong environmental credentials by enabling you to refresh and to reuse surfaces. It's cut downs on expensive and damaging wastage going to landfill, which has to be important to us all nowadays. It's a very creative range. You can achieve far more with this range than you can with conventional refurbishments. You can't achieve natural wood effect or stone by just painting something. You can't achieve the exotic effects you can get in this range, such as the glitter, for instance. It's time effective. The majority of these materials, as already been mentioned by Michael and Andrea, have easy apply air release liners. They're thick materials, they're conformable, easy to use. It enables you to use these materials with a minimum of disruption, no noise, no smell, no need to close whilst you're actually refurbishing. So that is very important. Cost effective. It's considerably cheaper to use these materials than standard refurbishment, replacement, or even painting. So again, there's massive commercial benefits to it. Fully certified, these materials have got so many certifications for UV resistance, for instance, fire ratings, IMO marine ratings. You can use them in a wide variety of environments. Antibacterial as well, which is, in this day and age, also quite key. So fully certified and tested, these materials. and durable. So not only are you refurbishing materials, you're also giving them a new life, a long life to last. They're thick, they're textured, multi-layered in construction. There's a 10-year warranty with these materials against peeling, cracking, and discoloration. As Michael pointed out, this market, the European market for these products, is at its relative infancy. In South Korea, where these products originate, sales are in excess of 350 million euros. In Europe, it's a fraction of that at the moment, but it's increasing rapidly. Major brands see the value in sustainably refreshing these interiors, their interiors, and doing promotional events with them cost effectively. Key brands that are using them, to give you just a few names: Holiday Inn, Radisson, in the hotel sector, BMW, Mercedes, McDonald's, KFC, Nespresso, Carrefour. They're being used throughout different sectors. The opportunity, the real opportunity for these materials is to be involved in this increasing marketplace as it grows. Antalis want to offer our customers the skills to be able to tap into this vibrant marketplace. In 2022, we'll be running a local training program where you or your installers can learn the skills required to apply seamlessly and finish these super materials. We'll run these events throughout the UK and can tailor them to your individual needs. You will all receive a link to this video content and a request form to indicate your interest in training or collateral that we have to support this range as well, and we will be happy to help you. So finally, let me thank you, Michael, Andrea and their team, my team here in the UK, and above all, yourselves for spending the time with us on this webinar. And until the next webinar, goodbye.